Ukrainian troops have carried out a daring raid several kilometers deep into Russia's Belgorod region. The Economist, citing its sources, reports that the operation was prepared for 3 weeks and is aimed at creating a buffer zone and strengthening Ukraine's position ahead of ongoing ceasefire talks. The operation has been confirmed by Western and Russian sources. The Economist's Oliver Carroll reported that Ukrainian forces are already on Russian territory and are continuing to move, expanding a new section of the front. According to him, Ukraine intends not only to strike at Russian military infrastructure, but also to create a security zone on the border that should protect the Sumy and Kharkiv regions from future attacks. Russian military telegram channels were the first to report on the Ukrainian Armed Forces' attempt to break through to the Belgorod region. In particular, the VCHK-OGPU channel, which is close to Russian special services, reported on military actions in the area of the border village of Grafovka in Krasnoyarsk direction. According to their sources, the Russian army lost at least 4 heavy combat vehicles overnight. 1 BMP was destroyed by a Ukrainian drone on the march, and 3 more were burned at hidden positions in the forest. There were many wounded among Russian servicemen at the scene, and the sky was filled with swarms of Ukrainian FPV drones. Russian troops were forced to request helicopter support. The National Security and Defense Council of Ukraine explained that the active actions of the Ukrainian Armed Forces were a forced response to the concentration of Russian troops near the borders in the Belgorod region and the activities of sabotage groups. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, commenting on the situation, did not directly confirm the fact of the operation, but emphasized that Ukraine sees threats from Russian territory, including preparations for strikes on the Sumy, Kharkiv and Zaporizhia regions, and added that Kiev will not allow Russia to implement these plans with impunity. The raid into the Belgorod region was not only a military operation for Ukraine, but also a strong political signal. The creation of a buffer zone and the opening of a new section of the front significantly strengthen Kiev's position in the ceasefire negotiations, demonstrating Ukraine's readiness to act decisively and impose its own conditions rather than play by Russia's rules. The Krasnoyarsk district of the Belgorod region found itself in the epicenter of military action after an unexpected raid by the Ukrainian army. While Russian authorities reported repelling attacks, residents were left alone with chaos and a complete lack of coordination. The publication Verstka writes about this. The sudden breakthrough of the Ukrainian Armed Forces took Russia by surprise. Experts write, most people learned of the need to leave their homes from messages on social media. Loudspeakers announced the evacuation only once, and so unintelligibly that no one understood what to do. Buses were parked in inconvenient places that had to be reached on foot with children and elderly people. Many had to evacuate using personal transport without a clear understanding of the route. Residents complained that taxi drivers had raised their prices to several thousand rubles. The authorities did not help, and people organized help for each other on their own. The regional governor Gladkov, instead of explaining the situation, preferred to remain silent. In chats, people are demanding a prosecutorial investigation into the administration's actions. In the village of Repyakovka, there is no communication, electricity or water. Ukrainian FPV drones are circling over the village. Explosions are heard. According to the VCHK-OGPU, fighting is taking place in the area of Popovka-Grafovka highway. The Ukrainian Armed Forces are trying to block the northern part of the district and are moving deeper into the region. OSINT analysts confirm fighting on an area of up to 10 square kilometers. Russian sources report losses among the military and destruction of equipment. The attacks are accompanied by shelling of border areas. The Russian Defense Ministry continues to pretend that everything is under control, linking the events with an attempt to create a negative background around the negotiations between Putin and Trump.
Hundreds of residents in Russia's Chelyabinsk and Bashkortostan regions were evacuated as melting ice caused river levels to rise and flood villages. Rescuers and local dwellers waded through floodwaters and used boats to evacuate. According to Associated Press, the town of Asha in the Chelyabinsk region partly flooded with more than 200 houses and 300 household plots submerged. 170 people were evacuated from their homes. In the neighboring region of Bashkortostan, more than 120 people were evacuated. About 80 people, including 17 children, have been evacuated to a temporary accommodation center, which has been opened at a school, said Eduard Idrisov, the acting head of the Russian Emergency Ministry in the Bashkortostan region. The residents are provided help, including door-to-door checking and briefings, he added. Experts say the unusually warm weather has caused the high water season to start 2 weeks earlier. Last year, heavy floods in the neighboring Orenburg region left more than 12,000 residential buildings and more than 19,000 households submerged, with thousands of residents evacuated.
Введен режим чрезвычайной ситуации. Возможно затопление придомовых территорий.
Порядка 80 человек, из них 17 детей, эвакуировано в созданной на базе школы ПВР. Жителям оказываются необходимые мероприятия по оказанию помощи, подворовые обходы, инструктажи.